Donkey Kong actually was never my favorite. My top tier would be Super Mario Brothers, the original. And then below that, you've got like Dig Dug. I'm sure everyone's heard me talk about Dig Dug in the past. And when I was really little, I was a fan of Frogger.
Yeah, well, you're significantly older than me, so you've sort of got an older generation of games.
Significantly older? How dare you? How old are you, Todd?
Well, I'm 30.
Yeah.
So I was sort of when I was a kid, I remember the ones I really liked were Super Mario Brothers 3, and then a little bit past that was Donkey Kong Country, which was a different game than Donkey Kong.
But, it definitely was a different game than Donkey Kong. I couldn't even handle Super Mario Brothers 2. That's when video games. That was when video games jumped the shark.
Well, Super Mario Brothers 2 definitely jumped the shark. That was not as good as Super Mario Brothers, but Super Mario Brothers 3 was more like Super Mario Brothers, so that was another good one.
You know why Super Mario Brothers was great? Maybe all video games do this nowadays, but like Super Mario Brothers was great. This is for you youngsters out here that don't know what it was like back in the day. Back in the day, you had this game.
Back in the day, our parents used to take care of us.
That's true, by buying me Super Mario Brothers. Back in the day, you had these.
They even fucking scared of us.
You had a game, and and there was a goal to the game. You know, you had to win. You had to save the princess in the end, and there was like 8 levels. Level 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 4, and then all the way up. And the idea was to go through all of these levels all the way up to 8-4. But there were secrets. Like there was a warp world, which might take you to world 4-1, level 4-1. But like you had to make sure that you didn't get greedy like Noguera, and you didn't want to jump ahead to the wrong world because the wrong world would be too hard. You know, you didn't want to jump to 6-1, for example. You wanted to jump to 4-1, because then you could jump to 8-1 maybe. There's a game here. You know, and you could play the game, and the game was like exactly the same every time. You knew exactly when one of these little buggers would come onto the screen, and pretty soon you got so good at this game that you could time it. Like you'd run and you'd jump onto a tube, and then you'd do another big jump, and you'd land on the little mushroom guy, which would bounce you up into the air, and you'd hit the invisible block, which a magic mushroom would come out of, and then you get that, and you get a 1-up, which was an extra man. It's like the best game of all time. And there were other secrets. Like if you jumped a certain way, you could walk backwards through a brick wall and go to a special place which would take you to Minus World.
And I know exactly what you're talking about.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but you could never get out of Minus World. But, of course, this was before the internet. So, of course, you'd have the friend that goes, oh, I got out of Minus World. And you'd be like, really, fool? How'd you do that? And you go, oh, well, I just did this. But he could never recreate it. And so you figure this guy's a fool. But there was always that part in your mind going, maybe you can get out of Minus World. I'm going to keep trying. And there were so many cool things to do with this game. And it wasn't like you just went online and there's like a big thing saying, here's all the secrets, here's how to get here, here's how to get there, blah, blah, blah. Maybe you could mail order for an actual book that would give you some of these tips. That would come in the mail, made out of paper. But mostly you just had to figure this stuff out for yourself, and it'd be a friend of a friend told you this, and then you tried this. This was back when video games were awesome. Now it's just like, you do some stuff, and there's a lot of graphics, and you go online and get all the secrets, and you beat it, and then you got to get a new game. It's not the same anymore, Todd.
Although on the shit done changed, to carry on a thought from earlier, the damn shit done changed. What was I going to say? Oh, yeah. The flip side of that, though, is that frequently you wouldn't know exactly what was going on. So, I remember very vividly, just being completely befuddled by games and just giving up, whereas now you generally can get through. That's sort of, I hear people...
It's called coddling, Todd. Coddling.
See, the argument you're making is an argument I hear frequently, and it's made by, some video game fans where they say, today's video games are too easy. Back in the day, they were hard, and, you had a real challenge, and like you were saying, you had to sort of time things and sort of have everything down, and now they coddle you, and it's so much easier. And I just have not bought that line. my thought is when I'm playing a video game, I just want to have fun. You know, I don't want it to be stressful. I don't want to have to do the same thing 15 times. You know, like I don't want to, you know, have to memorize patterns. I want it to be, you know, challenging enough that I sort of have to, sort of stay focused and be able to do the different things they want, but I just want to be able to go through the different things a video game has to offer. And those old video games, they sort of had to do that because they only had so much gameplay in them because they were small cartridges and, you know, you could only write so much of a video game. So, you know, they had to, in order to extend the time of the game, they made it hard so you would spend a lot of time doing the same things. Whereas now they've got the technical prowess to be able to, you know, to have hours and hours of entertainment without doing the same thing over and over and over again. And so I don't think the model where you had to do things over and over and over again was ever a very good model. I like the model of, you know, you have to do this or that, you know, 3 or 4 times to sort of get it down, but that's sort of the maximum. You don't need to play a level, you know, 50 times over to finally beat it.
See, that's just not my thing. I mean, when I was a kid, you and your friends would talk about, oh my God, did you beat Dig Dug or whatever the game might be? And, you know, it was like, yeah, I've beaten every game I've played. And it's, oh, really? Well, why don't you show me you beat this game? And then you had to go over there to prove you could beat the game. And for the life of me...
Very confrontational child.
Oh, yeah. Off the top of my head, I can't even remember the name of the game, which actually astonishes me. But when I was really into video games from, like, 7th grade through... Actually, it was like 6th grade through 8th grade. And after that, I discovered sports, real man activities, and moved on in my life. But
like gymnastics?
Yeah, exactly. But up until that point... It was like, for my 2-year period of intense video game play, there was one game I couldn't beat. And like I said, I don't remember exactly what that game is. If someone gave me a list of video games from that period, I could look at it and tell you immediately what the game was if I just saw the name of it. It was like some wacky Japanese game, and there was like parachutes involved. Anyway, but the point is, for my whole life, I can remember that I couldn't beat this game, you know? It's just like I was so it was such an important part of my 7th and 8th grade years was trying to beat all these video games and prove I was a better man in these computers. And then the game came along that I couldn't beat, and it's bothered me. It's probably why I don't play video games anymore. I can't move on until I beat that game, which is probably...
Well, you need to figure out what it is.
It's probably in a museum right now is where it is. But anyway.
Well, you have like these emulators now, so you could probably find it and play it on your computer.
I probably could. You guys better hope that doesn't happen or this website's shutting down until I beat it.
Yeah, well, why don't you give more of a descriptive description of it, and maybe people can try to guess what it is. I can't remember.
I cannot remember. And it was a stupid game, too. It wasn't even like it was a good game. You know, it was like a stupid little game that God, I can't even remember. But I just played that game over and over again, and I could just never beat it. And it was never like a really popular game or anything. That was the even more frustrating part. It was just like a stupid little game, and I just couldn't beat it. It was infuriating to me. So those are the kind of things that motivated me to keep going. Not these games anyone can play. All right, everybody, we're going to wrap it up. We've talked too much about video games today. All right, here we go. This is from David Smith. But it's David E. Smith, not David Hart Smith, unfortunately. All right, here we go.
Time to play the game.
Donkey Kong.
My top tier would be Super Mario Brothers. And then below that, you've got like Dig Dug. And when I was really little, I was a fan of Frogger. Back in the day, you had this game, and there was like 8 levels. But there were secrets. Like, you'd run, and you'd jump onto a tube, and then you'd do another big jump, and you'd land on the little mushroom guy, which would bounce you up into the air, and you'd hit the invisible block, which a magic mushroom would come out of, and then you get that, and you get a 1-up, which was an extra man. It's like the best game of all time.
Today's video games are too easy.
See, that's just not my thing. And then the game came along that I couldn't beat, and it's bothered me. Probably why I don't play video games anymore. All right, everybody, we're going to wrap it up. We've talked too much about video games today. That's a pretty good one.
Yeah, I do love the "We are running out of time" music.
You know, everybody, I did, in fact, discover the game. For those of you that didn't listen to the Todd Martin show, I figured out what the one game was that I could never beat. I had It's about night. I was looking back at the a list of all the games from various years, and I've determined that the year that I was so into video games that when I broke my arm, I put a. I should actually know this because I remember I broke my arm in the 7th grade. But anyway, I put one of those. They had the flat controllers, and they had a thing you could put on it that had the joystick, and of course the famous drop of me operating the knob with my mouth. That's what this comes from. But anyway. It was 1987, and I looked at a list of games that came out in 1987, and I was looking through this list the other day, and it was like, yep, beat that one, beat that one, beat that one. That was a thing back in the day. You had to beat the game, and you couldn't go online and go to the store and get an 80-page manual on all the little tricks in the games, or you had to just figure it out or talk to your friends, or maybe via mail order. If you really wanted to, you could get a cheat booklet or whatever. But point was, it was all about beating these games. And I'm a very competitive person. I had to beat every single game that I played. And I beat every single one except for one game. And when that game came along that I couldn't beat, that was like the end of my video game career. I think I finally figured this psychology out. So if the day ever comes where I am able to beat Mighty Bomb Jack, and perhaps I will return to playing video games.
But you cannot deal with the shame of defeat.
Do you remember that game?
I'm actually Googling it right now.
Mighty Bomb Jack.
It's available on eBay.
And in fact, if you, because apparently some people Googled this after I discovered the name of the game, and they were like, well, of course you couldn't beat that game. No one in the world could beat that game. And somebody in the thread actually, there was a blurb in the manual that came with the game, where if you got stuck, this blurb was supposed to help you out. And I, for the life of me, could not understand what in God's name they were trying to say in this blurb. And this person posted this blurb on the board, and I nearly threw my monitor out the window because it brought back memories of this blurb. That for the... I'm going to go up and find it right now.
I'm actually looking at the, ironically, Wikipedia page for that game.
For Mighty Bomb Jack?
Yeah.
Yeah, what's it say?
Well, first of all, Brian, you'll be happy to hear the NES version was released on the Wii Virtual Console on May 7th, 2007.
Wow, those poor unlucky fools.
It is a sequel to Bomb Jack. Before he was mighty.
How about that?
I'm just scrolling through here some of the story. To prevent the player from becoming too, quote, greedy, unquote, the game automatically sends the player to a torture room if they obtain more than 9 mighty coins or 99 seconds on the game's timer. The only way to escape a torture room without losing a life, this sounds like Hostel, is to complete a number of jumps, which are counted down on the screen. Once the player exits the torture room, Jack automatically loses all mighty coins. The timer is reset to 60 seconds, and the game recommences from the beginning of the current level.
All right, I found it here. I think I found it. Oh, here we go. All right.
Mighty Bomb Jack.
Okay, here it is. I remember this absolutely vividly from 1987. I'm not even sure I can read this without making that noise again that I made on the Christmas show. This is what... I'll even read what he says here. Fun rating. The game is a boring combination of walking and jumping. And if you get lost, this is the kind of nonsensical hint the manual gives you. I swear to God. It says, and I quote, playing Mighty Bomb Jack with a drawn-up map will increase your playing pleasure. Suppose you draw one scene on a piece of paper in the shape of a pyramid. The labyrinth to the pyramid will appear. This map will give you some hints on solving this mystery. What does that mean?
Well, Brian, near as I can figure.
For 24 years, I've been wondering what that means.
Okay, let's go through it again.
Let me just read that one more time. Suppose you draw one scene on a piece of paper in the shape of a pyramid. The labyrinth to the pyramid will appear. This map will give you some hints on solving this mystery. That That right there is a mistranslation from Japanese to English. There's no other explanation. That doesn't make any sense. No wonder I had so much anger growing up.
I am watching a YouTube video of the gameplay for this. It just looks like a complete knockoff of Super Mario Brothers.
I wish!
You run around, you jump on items, you collect coins, you avoid bad guys.
This game sucked. I curse Mighty Bomb Jack. I got a massive headache right now.